I'm Dan.
And I'm Ramin. And this is
Two Blokes and a Mic.
Two Blokes and a Mic. We almost got it.
You stopped. Why'd you stop? Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't know that I trusted you.
Yes. I wouldn't trust me.
So today's episode, we're here to waste more of your time. Today's episode is a follow-on to one of our most recent episodes called Gone Phishing.
Mm-hmm.
And the link to that is below in the description. And it's more of a conversation about cybersecurity and protecting your network, your people, and your data.
So what you're saying is that we are going to do more on phishing.
Easy. Put a space in there. More on phishing.
I had
Punctuation and space work.
Yes.
That helps, you know. So yes, the answer to that is yes. That's
Okay.
what we're doing. We're having a more in-depth discussion about specifically phishing. The tendency, it's become very, 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 very problematic, as you and I discussed in our last episode. We're getting more sophisticated emails coming into companies that look legitimate, asking you to do things like change your password, allow for a login for somebody else, and things like, having the boss ask you to transfer a large amount of money to some bank account. And people click on that stuff because this is not about hacking your network. This is about hacking you as an individual.
Some of the most common ones that have come out recently can seem as innocent, but really it's leading you down a road. So
Correct.
Somebody has sent you a parcel from UPS or FedEx or wherever. Click on this tracking number. That's great. I'm getting a Christmas present from somebody, but they won't tell me who this person is. So I want to click on it, see what it is, when it's going to arrive here.
Correct.
That's very easy. That's everyone wants to click on that link, right?
That happens a lot. So this kind of activity takes advantage of what I like to call the Sally Field syndrome.
Right.
You get an email from what looks like FedEx or UPS saying someone has sent you is shipping you a gift. Click on the link to get the tracking number, and
one of the fantastic things that COVID has done over these few years, or a few months, it feels like years, is that everyone has come to work at home. And it's a wonderful thing because you get to spend a lot of quality time with your family. Unfortunately, sometimes what happens is that family doesn't quite understand the requirements that are sometimes needed to record a podcast or have a conference with your colleagues. And I've seen it so many times. It's part of our world that we live in now.
That's very true. So what was I saying before you rudely interrupted me?
Sally Field
syndrome. Yes. So you get so you get sent an email from somebody, whether it's FedEx or UPS, that says somebody has sent you a gift. Click here for the tracking number. Or you get an email from what looks like your boss asking you to transfer a large amount of money to some bank account via wire transfer. And we click on it because we have that, what I call Sally Field syndrome, which is he likes me, he really likes me,
right.
And click. And that's the next thing that happens is you're now in a position where you've given potentially username, password, etc. to a hacker.
Right. And this is the danger. So we have been in IT. We have been so focused on regular computer security. So
correct.
Our operating systems are regularly patched with security vulnerabilities that they find. This is important. We already tell you this is important. There's an antivirus on practically every computer
machine,
around the world, whether it's Windows or Mac. It should be Mac as well. There is spam filtering and virus filtering for emails that come in. There's Google and the other browser makers have now, hardened their browsers, so that a security certificate doesn't match when it should match, from the browser URL to their security certificate, or whether it's out of date. Anyway, all of these different security things that are happening, that they're being monitored, makes the virus writer's job so much more difficult. And so humans haven't.
Well,
that
so
same
this is
level.
it. The virus writers have all decided to go after the weakest link, which is the human being.
It is. It really
Right?
is.
You can write all the greatest security software in the world, but you're not going to stop somebody from clicking on something.
Yeah, and so viruses, they've evolved, and they've evolved to recode themselves and release a payload, monitor it, see if that has taken effect. If not, rewrite the code, release again, monitor, rinse and repeat. And
yeah,
that's all great. I mean, in terms of technology evolution, we've now gotten around that. We can protect that with behavior-based antivirus and built-in multi-levels of backups, so that ransomware is not a problem.
In the end, despite all of that, if you could have the most sophisticated security system in your home, if you leave the back door unlocked,
right? Yeah,
it's unlocked.
This is my point.
Clicking is the same as leaving your back door unlocked. It's just you're saying basically, please come in, take my information, and do with it what you wish.
The market, the global market for cybercrime,
for personalized information that's been stolen,
all data, all the value of that market, the black market for cyber criminal activities, is, I believe, over $2 trillion now. It might be a lot more than that. Don't quote me.
It's important,
but it's an immense amount of money. And so when you put that amount of money into anything, you're going to make a lot of effort to make sure that you're protecting your investment, that you're continuing to grow that.
Correct.
So the weakest link.
The weakest link are always the humans. And in fact, I was listening to a podcast the other day while I was driving, and it was the interviewer was interviewing director of IT for a public school district somewhere in Texas, who woke up one morning to alerts basically saying that all the hard drives on all the machines in the district and the servers were all encrypted. And that they all had a message on them that said, if you want the decrypt key, call this number. So the director of IT called the 800 number that was on the screen. And he said that a receptionist answered and said, what are you calling about? And he told her, and she said, oh, that's not, let me transfer you to the right department. What that says is it's an established business. They're all targeting businesses, but they all exist on what's called the dark web. And the reality is that this is a business for them. This is a profit-making endeavor.
Yes.
Right? And so keeping your people from clicking stuff is how you stay out of trouble. And they had to have an emergency school district supervisor meeting to budget $50,000 in an emergency, because that's what these people wanted, to give them the decrypt key. Right. And this is how these people are making their money. They have employees. They even pay for they even pay for 401ks and paid time off.
Yeah.
It's a real thing, but they're living off of taking your business down.
Yeah,
and it's important. You've got to train your people not to do that stuff. Right? We can as IT guys, we can harden all the network and all that kind of stuff as much as possible. But if we can't keep you from clicking on stuff, there's nothing we can do. And so to that end.
And on that note,
and now a segue.
I wanted to bring your attention to a fantastic company that we are starting to use, and they are a very well-known company, and provide, I think, an invaluable service that almost every company should really engage with.
Take advantage of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
The company is called KnowBe4. KNOWBE, and then the number 4.
And the URL is KNOWBE, the number 4.com.
Of course.
And
yes.
Full disclosure, we are not being sponsored by them at all.
No, we're not at all.
We're recommending this because it makes bloody well sense.
It does. And when we see something like this, and these guys are pretty, there are other companies that do this, but these guys are pretty much the leader in this field.
In the space, yeah.
In the space.
Agreed.
And so we wanted to tell you about it. And if we're lucky enough, we may even be able to bring one of their people on for an interview later on.
That'd be awesome.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
we'll see.
It's
People that
the
know
kind
before,
of
if you're
service,
watching, let us know if you want to be interviewed. We'd love to have you on.
So it's one of these services that I think is so valuable, and the cost is very, very low, that it's well worth it to do.
Correct.
So what do? Well, they teach, and they
teach and train, basically. Train your staff.
Yeah.
And
not only that, but they'll do campaigns where they'll test afterwards. Yeah. So imagine this. You set all of your staff, you give them a website that they go to, they go through all of these different training scenarios, they complete it, and then afterwards they send like a campaign of emails or various other communications, and trying to trick your staff into
on clicking
falling,
stuff. Yeah,
falling
basically
for these
falling
tricks.
falling for the trick, right?
Yeah. So okay, then the results of that are then compiled. After a month or every month. I don't know how often they do it, but they'll do it like on a regular campaign until people understand. So what happens is that first month they'll do the campaign, and they'll find that Johnny is just going to click on every little link that you send him.
Yeah. Just who he is.
But Sally, she's got it. She understands. She's like, no, I'm not clicking on that. I'm just going to delete it. Yeah, no worries. All that information is gathered, and it's sent back in a report to management. And so it's easy for them to identify, well, Johnny clearly needs more training, but Sally doesn't need extra training. It's optional for her, but Johnny really needs to focus a little bit more.
That boy needs to go back through training.
He does. And so it's like a circle. You train, you say, I've done the training, I understand this. There's a campaign. Do you fall for it? Yes, no. Do you need to go back into training until that process? Yeah. And I'm just looking at some of their information here. Obviously, this is marketing material, so you got to take this with a pinch of salt.
Yes,
but
of course.
The first month, it actually looks like it's a 3-month training period. Looks like 1, 2, 3 in this example. The phishing prone percentage starts out at like 37.9. I'm assuming this is some sort of average. I mean, obviously, take it with a pinch of salt. It's marketing material.
Assuming that statistic is even near correct.
Even vaguely true.
Vaguely true. That means that almost 40% of your people are going to click on stuff.
You know what? I'm just looking at this. This is based on 4 million users. So that's pretty good.
So we're getting 37% of 4 million users click on stuff without thinking about it.
Yeah, in that first month. Right. So
that should be like HR should interview people.
What's your percentage?
What do you click on? What's your percentage?
Anyway, the second month, it drops down to like 24%. The third month, 14.1%. And they've done it over 12 months. And by the end of that year, 12 months later, the average is 4.7%. So you've gone from 37.9% to 4.7%. And that, from your workforce, is a fantastic thing. It's putting an antivirus into your humans,
into your workforce, into your humans, right? You're teaching
only there
them
was
to
that for
understand.
COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't get me started on that. So yeah, I mean, this is the kind of stuff. Now, some of the things that they test for. and they give you tools for. They do a test for obviously phishing, which is what we were just talking about. They do things for testing for weak passwords. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
welcome 2002 is not a password that everybody in the organization should have.
Yep.
Taped to the bottom of their keyboards.
Yeah.
Yes, you need to have a password policy, and every 30 to 60 days, those passwords needs to change, and the new ones cannot be any of the last 4 you've used. So yes, it's going to be inconvenient, and people are going to grumble, but the safety of your company depends on it. And no, the CEO cannot be the one person who's exempt from it.
Right.
That's not how this works. It's all or none. Everybody has to participate in this program.
Well, it's like you said. What's the point of having all your windows and doors locked and alarmed and the best security in the world with detection things and doodads and everywhere, and then you leave the back door open.
Yeah, it's the same thing. But I get this. You and I have this conversation. When we present this to some companies, very often the person we get the most pushback from are the ones at the top making the decision. It's okay for all the workforce to have, 2-factor authentication and password policies, but not the CEO. No,
right.
He's the one that has to be the one doing it. That's you set examples of leadership, and he will then become the vector through which things get into your network.
Yeah.
And guys like us can't help that. We can't fix that. Right? Once that happens, then we're in firefighting mode, and there's no reason for it other than culture.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see. Domain spoofing. That's an issue that happens very often. They have a ransomware simulator tool, which is kind of cool, and then we can have a whole different discussion about ransomware and how that works.
There's well over 1,000 security awareness training content items.
Correct.
And
yes,
in 30 plus languages.
Yeah. So you can't say I didn't know.
Yep.
Right. And this is happening more and more. Is depending on the business vertical you're in, you may have compliancy requirements. Compliancy requirements these days does and must include network security and cybersecurity.
Right.
And so they will help you with compliancy readiness audit tests to make sure that you would pass an audit should one be presented to you.
So we could go through this all day, picking out various bits. But I wanted to quickly go through and say, look, this security awareness training, they have what's called silver, gold, platinum, and diamond. Honestly, go for diamond. It's not that much cheaper, not that much more expensive.
Correct.
Than the other products.
The delta in price is not that much, and it will give you a much better control over your overall network and the population within which that network exists, right? The population of humans.
Yeah. So I don't know how long, this podcast is going to be out here forever, so I don't want to give you the actual numbers, but if you go to knowbefore.com and then you go to pricing and security awareness training, it will tell you right there on that page what those costs are. And right now, the costs that they give you are per year. So, and these are pretty small numbers.
Per person
it works
per
out,
year, right?
It works out to be like a little over a couple of bucks for diamond, I guess.
Yeah.
And depending on how many seats you have, the prices change. But a couple of bucks a user a month is approximately what the cost is today. And this is the end of 2020. Good riddance. And I think.
What do you mean by that, Dan?
If there's a few things you can do for your company. KnowBefore really does focus on companies, and I think they have an absolute minimum of 25 licenses, the absolute minimum. But it's such a cheap thing.
Yeah,
it has a really good payoff.
Yeah, it does. The investment in the long-term well-being of your company is worth doing.
So everyone go
Train your
to
people.
knowbefore.com. Take a look at it, check it out.
Yeah, links will be down below in the description.
As I say, we're not making any money from this.
Yeah.
We just want to.
They don't know we
people.
exist. So, but we,
right. And
from our perspective, it's a good idea. Do it.
Yeah. And if they want to come on our show,
we're happy to have them on board. Yep,
that's great. But really, we're just trying to inform you. So if you, there are other people that do this as well. So check out competitors. Just that these guys, we've known of them for many, many years, and we're now starting to engage with them, and their message is great. So
yeah, it is excellent product. Yeah. And thank you for your patience as always. I think we've wasted enough of your time this time. So
far more than
we should have been allowed to do. So anyway, the links to our original phishing video is going to be below. The link to the Know Before website is also going to be below. And as always, please comment, like, subscribe. Tell us what you want to know more about. We're happy to generate as much content as you would like. That's it from two blokes and a mic towards the end of 2020 here. Come on, January. Have yourself a wonderful weekend, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.